Breaking from Allen Park. The edge room just shifted under our feet, and the clock is already ticking. If you're catching this late, you could miss the moment the Lions decide whether to ride with what's inside or rip the Band-Aid and reshape the rotation before the schedule reshapes the season. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. If you live and breathe Honolulu Blue, hit subscribe and drop a like right now. Because we're going inside the meeting rooms, stripping away the optimism fluff, and talking about what this really means for the front four, the call sheet, and the identity of a defense that has promised January football and knows pass rush is the currency that buys it. Here's the unfiltered context no one wants to hear, but everybody needs. In a league where one roster move can change a room's psychology overnight, the chatter swirling around Alquette and Muhammad has detonated every group chat in Detroit. Whether you label it release, wave, or simply moving on, the shock isn't just a transaction, it's the ripple effect on contained rules, simulated pressure math, and the way offenses will now set protections against 97. You can feel it on the practice field. The cadence of individual drills, the quick head nods between linemen about who becomes the early down hammer, and the quiet question behind the question, are you a four-man truth team or a wink and blitz team when the game slows down in the fourth? That's the real storyline tonight. All summer, the staff sowed a bet on collective pressure. Build a wall inside, let your star tilt the formation, and trust a rotation of disciplined edges to compress the C gap without losing rush integrity. On paper, it was coherent. In live fire, it always depended on someone doing the dirty work early in the down, so Hutchinson could pick his spots late. Muhammad's tape, at its best, was exactly that. Take on leverage, firm wrists into the tight end's chest, walk the tackle back a half yard, and force a hitch that gives your interior the extra step to collapse. When that piece gets removed, you don't just lose a name, you change the geometry. The guard's eyes travel faster to inside gains, the tackle vertical sets with less fear of power, and your back seven has to hold the picture a beat longer. That's why the big decision isn't about one player. It's about the philosophy of how Detroit wants to win downs 2 through 4. If the Lions stay internal, the path is clear if unforgiving. Promote the most assignment-clean edge into early downs. Pair him with a heavier 5 tech on run looks to keep the B-gap honest, and crank interior knockback to squeeze quarterbacks into the teeth of the pocket. That's a spacing game you can win with discipline and relentless effort. But if the staff leans external, they aren't hunting a savior. They're shopping for a constraint, the one trait that unlocks everything else. A true corner threat speed dip to widen sets and open Hutch's inside counter? A heavy-handed bully who turns stretch into 2nd and 9 and lets you live in your four-man world? Or a pitch count specialist who gives you 8 quality rushes a night and changes 1 drive per game? Those are 3 different answers with 3 different identities. Now zoom into the grass-level details, because this week is a test of adults in the room football. It's a mush-rush game married to calculated violence. Outside foot down, inside hand through the sternum. Don't cross the quarterback's upfield shoulder unless you're certain you can finish. And fold the pocket into a half moon that forces the ball into contested windows. Your opposite edge, the new one, has to be boring as a superpower on first down. Stack, lock out, peek, and spill with violent hips so your linebackers can run through instead of catching. Then, on money downs, you layer the whiteboard poetry that actually wins in the stadium. Widen 97 to a true wide 9 on 3rd and 7+. Reduce the opposite end to a heavy 5 so the tackle can't cheat his set. Run your text gains into oversetting guards. Bluff 5 at the line and drop out with vision on the back. Then punish the slide with a creeper where a second-level rusher replaces. None of that needs to be high blitz to feel aggressive. It just needs to be timed with the patience of a pitcher who knows the hitter is guessing. Personnel conversations get louder in weeks like this, and they should. If the in-house grades show you can hold serve through the bye, you buy time and preserve assets. If the film leaks too much on the right edge, the calendar will make the call for you. There are veterans out there who don't need the whole album to matter, just one perfect riff late in the fourth. And don't underestimate the psychology. Defensive lines eat when they believe the picture won't change snap to snap. They hesitate when they feel the staff is taping over holes. The fastest way to settle a room is to win the first handful of early downs, even if the sacks come from coverage or a well-timed twist. Two-team sacks or church bells a signal that your four-man truth still lives. It also matters what this does to the back seven. When the edge on Hutch's side sets a hard edge and the opposite end compresses without getting washed, your safeties can play top down instead of firefighting from the alley. Your nickel can actually leverage screens instead of bailing to help the post. And your corners can sit on outbreakers because the quarterback can't reset 3 hitches. That is the cascade effect you're trying to protect. Offensively, opponents will test your patience with the 2 things edges hate most: chips that feel like car accidents and split flow action that dares you to peek. The answer is the boring truth: again, build defense, step through contact, finish through the hip, and let the ball declare. If you do that, your third down plan becomes a menu you can actually pick from. If you don't, you're playing whack-a-mole and burning calls you wanted to save for the fourth. Let's talk front office, because this is where fans start shouting names and the real pros start whispering fits. You don't chase brand. You chase how a trait forces the protection to flinch. A bendy speed guy makes tackles overset, which opens the inside spike for 97. A torque monster who collapses the key gap makes your simulated pressure look exotic without exposing the secondary. A savvy vet with 2 counters and a feel for cadence can win you 1 3rd and 8 that flips field position. Pick the lever that amplifies what you already do well. And please hear this. There's a difference between panic and urgency. Panic is throwing picks at big names and hoping a headline fixes a technique problem. Urgency is identifying the single constraint you're missing and paying a fair price to own it. As a fan who's watched this team grow from hopeful to hungry, I know which side of that line I want the Lions to live on. Here's my honest take, and you can pin it if you want receipts. I respect what Muhammad brought to the room, the blue collar. Do your job snaps matter? I believe the defense can stabilize with an internal early down answer, while the staff leans harder into interior knockback and situational gains to free Hutchinson. But I don't want this season gambling on good enough at the second edge when the margins shrink in January. If the internal tape over the next game and a half screams solid, ride it and keep your powder dry. If it wobbles, make the surgical move for a limited pitch, fast win rusher who steals you 1 series a week. 1 possession. That's the difference between preaching we're good and proving it when Ford Field is holding its breath. Now it's your turn. Do you trust the internal plan to hold the edge while the rotation resets? Or are you calling for a veteran addition to protect the 4-man troop before the schedule tightens the screws? If you were in Brad Holmes' chair, are you waiting on another week of tape or making the call tonight? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit subscribe if you want the real Lions talk all season. And let's have the hard conversation together. Because in Detroit, we don't run from edges under pressure. We make pressure the reason other teams run.